Hello again, it's Cons. We are here for a one-off video this time, where we talk about how the Velkhana set bonus works. I'm going to be using it in one of my future meme builds, where we do a sort of old Monster Hunter game style of greatsword play. And I figured this set bonus would be really helpful, but I don't know what the numbers were and I couldn't find them online. So I thought, hey, test it ourselves. I'm going to give you the sort of damage bonuses it gets, how it varies between weapons, what the cooldowns are, and just a general overview of how the skill works. So, let us get into it. I'll show you the set quickly. We have handicraft and razor sharp just to make the white sharpness last longer, so I don't have to worry about sharpening every 10 seconds. The rest of the skills are just coming with the set and don't make any difference. So, the way the skill works, generally speaking, you can see in the top left corner next to our sharpness bar, we have a sort of blue bar that's filled up and is glowing. There's actually 3 stages to it. What I'll do is I'll attack this wall, and you'll notice that as I do so, the bar depletes. So we'll just get it down to minimum. And what you'll notice also is that it doesn't matter what move I use, it doesn't seem to make a difference to how much of the bar is depleted per hit. But anyway, we have our bar empty now, and you can see it's slowly but surely refilling. Right now we're at level 0. We're about to reach level 1. You'll see the weapon glow, and there we go, we're at level 1. Notice that it doesn't actually affect the stats on the screen. I'm still at 915 attack. And in fact, I'll show you as it levels up. That's level 2, that's level 3, and our stats stayed the same the entire time. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, each level gives you a different buff, and we will now work out exactly what those values are. Just a couple of things I wanted to note quickly, because I forgot to do them in my first take. Each weapon, as we'll discuss, seems to have its own buff values, but also each weapon has its own rate at which the bar is used. Take a look. Per hit on the greatsword, we're using roughly an entire level per, or that sort of entire first level per swing. You can see how much it consumes the bar per hit. That's fixed. It doesn't matter what move I use, be it a level 3 charge or a quick with the greatsword, and I'll show them both now. Level 3 charge, roughly the first stage of the bar. And a kick, roughly the first stage of the bar. So you can see it doesn't matter what move you use, it consumes the same amount of the bar constantly. However, the amount it uses per hit actually varies per weapon. And for that we will swap to my dual blade set. This set has also Velkhana's divinity on it. So, if we just, let's just take out demon mode. If we just do a single hit, you can see per hit, there's a much smaller amount of the bar, doesn't it? Now, there are some parts of the game, some features, for example, in previous games, you'd either crit every hit of the demon dance or crit none of them. I don't believe that's how it is anymore, but just in case, I thought I would check if the damage bonus only applies to the first hit of the demon dance or to the entire combo. So we'll just test that quickly. So what we'll do is we'll do a demon dance from full, and we'll check the damage a couple of times. 620, let's do that again. Now what we'll do is we'll get the bar down a tiny bit. Get it down a tiny bit more. And we'll start the demon dance just as the first level is active, but depleting. There we go, we're now in the highest level. So we'll do another demon dance and we'll see if it's less than 620. And it is, okay. So we know that even if you start a single flurry of hits from within level 3, the buff applied to every hit is calculated individually, based on the level that you're at when that hit is applied. It's good to know. Anyway, that's it. I'll let you get back to the video now. I have 8 sets here. I'm going to be testing Insect Glaive with these 4 sets, and Greatsword with these 4 sets. Those seem like sort of 2 reasonable weapons at a decent enough range to get accurate numbers for. These sets have no element attached to them, and these sets have element attached to them. The thing is, this skill also applies to elemental damage, and I want to work out what the buff to that is, which is the reason I'm testing them separately. We've got the same thing with Greatsword, without element, and then with the element on the weapon awoken. The first of each has no Velkhana divinity. We only have 1 piece of armor on, so we don't have the set bonus, whereas this one has the set bonus, and then the same thing with element, no set bonus, and the same thing with the Greatsword. So these are the tests we're going to run. The first thing we're going to do is, I guess we'll start with Greatsword. We will get a baseline for the actual damage that a greatsword does without the set bonus. You can see we don't have anything special going on right now, no set bonus, and we're just going to attack the wall a few times with unsheathing attacks, and maybe with level 3s too. We'll try 2 different moves. 52. 157. So you can see there's 2 possible hits. 152 is far more common, 157 is possible. So when we test, we want to pick the smaller of the 2 numbers. Alright, let's do level 3 unsheathed now. 359. Okay, so we want to pick the smaller of the 2 again. So 348 is the one that we're interested in. 348. Perfect. So now we have our 2 values. Let's repeat the process, but with the Velkhana set bonus. 198. So we've seen 198 and 204. 198 is the value, is 30%. Okay. So max level of the skill gives you a 30% bonus. I'll now repeat the process, but with lower levels. So we'll do 180. 175. 175. Seems like 175 is our number. 175 divided by 152 is 15%. So the second level gives you a 15% attack bonus. Let's repeat the process, but now at the previous level. There we go. So the smaller number is 160. And that tells us that 160 divided by 152 is 5%. Perfect. So we have a 5%, a 15%, and a 30% bonus. So that settles it. I will now repeat the process with level 3 charge to see if the motion value makes a difference, and then I'll repeat it with insect glaive to see if the weapon choice makes a difference. You might notice the sudden change in the sort of daylight of the area. That's because I've been testing something for a while. I've been getting slightly odd numbers, but I'll present them to you regardless. I might have messed up the testing. If you've noticed anything off, please let me know. But anyway, we are still at 915 attack. And what we will do is just see what numbers we get. 88, 88, and 86. Perfect. 86 divided by 69. And I've gotten these numbers multiple times, and it's always been these. 25%. So it seems like the level 3 provides you with a 25% buff to this insect glaive. Now, I don't know why I'm not getting 30%. Either the set bonus can vary between weapons, or maybe insect glaive has some weirdness to it. Maybe it's to do with the kinsect bonus or the leveling of the kinsect. Maybe it's to do with some complicated interplay of a bunch of factors. I don't entirely know. Just keep in mind that there is definitely the potential for this set bonus to vary. And so you should really keep that in mind. If you're going to build a set that revolves around having Velkhana divinity, I would recommend you come into this area and test it with your weapon just before you commit to building the set, on the off chance that it's substantially different. But yeah, so we've sort of demonstrated that it can potentially vary unless I've messed something up. Anyway, it's not a huge deal. I'm focused on greatsword for my build, and I think any build that exploits this is really going to be sort of a heavy hitting weapon like that. I mean, I can't imagine using it for anything but greatsword, but I don't know. You guys are quite creative, and a lot of our meme builds are quite creative, so who knows. Anyway, I'm going to just focus on the greatsword for now, because that's the numbers I'm interested in for my builds. I'll show you the methods that I use to test this, and you can always test this yourself for your own weapons. Let me know if you're interested in full testing for all 14 weapons. These videos already go on really long, and they're already really boring. And I know a lot of people don't sort of not really into it, which is completely fine. But I didn't think it was worth testing all 14 weapons with Ruin Element here. If people want to see that, let me know and I'll consider it. It'll be quite a tedious process. Anyway, let us get a baseline for comparison. So I'm having to go back and record footage now. The problem is with elemental damage. It does such a small proportion of the main damage source, unless you're running like critical element and a whole bunch of other things, but then you have to start worrying about crits. So yeah, on these base weapons, the element does such a small amount of the damage that you end up working with numbers that are fairly small. And so rounding errors come into play, and they make a big difference to the results, unfortunately. I'm talking like a single rounding digit in one direction could swing the percentage by as much as 5%. And so I'm having to go back now and record true charge slashes. With a true charge slash, at least we're getting numbers that are more in the range of 50s rather than 10s. So it means that we minimize the effects of rounding errors. Unfortunately, it means I have to line up true charge slashes and record them all, so I don't know, I'll montage it or something. Currently, this set is no Velkhana, no element, just a baseline for comparison. 668, 869, and that's with just the set bonus and no element. 712, and that is with element but without the set bonus. 926, and that is with the element and with the set bonus. There we go, so we now have our 4 numbers. We can analyze those quickly. 668 to 712 without the set. Well, actually, I'll just put these in a spreadsheet and I'll join you back in a second. So, I have our spreadsheet here with all the values collected. We have our level 1 unsheathed that we did at the start, where we found that originally we were doing 152 damage. At level 3 of Frostcraft, we had 198, at level 2, 175, and at level 1, 160. I've calculated the ratios between them, and we'll talk about those in a second. And I also listed the 2 level 3 unsheathed that we did. I haven't listed the insect glaive values. I'm mostly focused about greatsword here, but we can maybe talk about that some other time. I've additionally listed the true charge slash values that we found here. This is the base without an element and without level 3 Frostcraft, just with nothing. We had 668 damage. When we put on Velkhana Divinity and had level 3, we did 869. When we did base without the Velkhana set bonus, but with the 750 dragon element, we did 712. And when we had the element and the set bonus, we did 926. So, let's talk about these numbers. The ratios, as you'll see, are defined as each one divided by the base value. And they give you 100, which is just sort of the base value, a 5% increase, a 15% increase, and a 30% increase. With the level 3 unsheaths, I've just divided 453 by 348 to get 30%. Now, let's just talk about rounding errors quickly. Let's say I had 2 numbers, 2 and 6, that are 3 times apart from each other. So if I did, for example, 6 divided by 2, I would get 3. The ratio between them is 3. Now, let's say that this number was rounded. There was a rounding error of 1. So this was actually a 7. Can you see how the percentage has gone up by 50%? Now, let's do a different test. Let's do the same thing, but let's say we have bigger absolute values. So we have 200 and 600. And again, these are 3 times apart from each other. But now, if this number was rounded to the nearest unit, like they are in Monster Hunter World, or everything's rounded to the nearest unit, suddenly the rounding error only introduces a tiny proportionate error, 0.5%. And so this is why bigger absolute values are better. And so what you'll notice is that as we move up in the chain, as we do level 3 unsheaths, we get an estimate of 30.1%, whereas with level 1s we've got 30.3%. And with true charge slashes, if I take our base and our base level 3 and I divide them, there we go, look, an even better estimate, 30.0, like this is 30%, and it's an even better estimate. So keep that in mind. That's the reason bigger numbers are better. And that's why I had to test the critical element stuff, I mean the elemental damage bonus, using true charge slashes. You'll see why now. So if we take the base value that we had without Velkhana's set bonus, and the base value we had without Velkhana's bonus but with elemental damage, and subtract them, that'll tell us how much of our damage was caused by the element. We know that our weapon does 668 on a true charge slash, and we know that by adding our 750 dragon, we move that up to 712, that makes a difference of 44. If you repeat the same thing here, subtract that, so this is the same calculation, but both of the hits being done with level 3 Frostcraft, we get 57. Now compare that to these numbers. We were doing 198 versus 152. These are numbers nearly 4 times as big, and our error is in the region of sort of 25%, 0.25 of a percent. So you can see that by doing level 1 unsheaths, for example, we could be anywhere near sort of a percent or 2 off, and this grows exponentially as you get smaller and smaller. And so it's important to understand just how big the rounding errors make of a difference here. And so even the number we get here could be slightly off. But anyway, if we divide them, we can take the ratio of the 2 elemental values and we get 29.5%. I am willing to guess that that's probably supposed to be 30%, and that's just rounding errors causing us issues. So there is my conclusion. Level 1 of Velkhana's Frostcraft gives you a 5% boost to roll. Level 2 gives you a 15% boost to roll. Level 3 gives you a 30% boost to roll. The same calculations lead a 30% boost to roll, boost to element at level 3. I wasn't really able to do the level 1 and level 2 calculations because without true charge slash, the numbers are so small that the rounding errors get kind of out of control. And timing true charge slashes with the Velkhana set bonus is a bit weird, but I would probably assume that they're 15 and 5% respectively as well, and that it actually affects element and raw uniformly throughout. That would be my assumption, and we can just sort of do the big calculation. We can take our final damage with raw and element at level 3 Frostcraft and divide it by the base value of raw and element, and we get 30%. Who would have thought? And so overall, we're seeing a 30% increase in raw and a 30% increase in element. Hopefully that makes sense, and I hope these numbers seem reasonable. Again, I would recommend you test it for your own particular weapon class, but I feel like I've given you the tools that you need to test whatever it is you want to. Hopefully this all made sense, and hopefully these numbers help. I look forward to seeing you when I do my meme build that uses this fact. Anyway, take it easy. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.